Claude Code's internal data shows PRs getting substantive review comments jump from 16% to 54%, and the tool doing it costs $15 to $25 per review. If your team ships more than 3 or 4 PRs a day, that math either saves you or sinks you. Claude Code is everywhere right now, so I went through its 5 boldest claims to see which ones actually hold up and which ones are just hype. One of these claims got walked back by Anthropic's own postmortem, and whether it's actually resolved changes everything about whether you should trust the tool right now. I'm Brian, and I'm in these tools 12 hours a day, so you don't have to be. Every number in this review traces back to official Anthropic docs or published community sources. If you're running a team shipping 5 or more PRs a day, the difference between a claim that delivers and one that's just hype is real money. Claim 1. Claude Code catches logic bugs and security vulnerabilities that humans miss. So picture a solo engineer who merges a 400-line refactor on a Friday. A type mismatch silently wipes an encryption cache, and nobody catches it until a user's data is gone. That's the exact failure mode this claim is supposed to prevent, and it's worth taking seriously. What I found is pretty interesting. The multi-agent architecture is real and documented. 5 specialized agents each target a different issue class, and only findings that score 80 or above pass to a verification stage that actively tries to disprove them before posting. The under 1% false positive rate is vendor claimed rather than independently verified, but the architecture itself is not vaporware. In a true NAS community case surfaced a pre-existing type mismatch that humans had missed, which is community supported rather than controlled. This claim delivers. The multi-agent story could have been pure marketing, but the verification step is a genuine filter, and Anthropic's own internal data backs it up. Substantive PR comments went from 16% to 54%. That's one of 1 claims holding up so far, and it's a clear one. Claim 2, Claude Code produces working code on the first try. A mid-sized team paying $25 per review and running multiple fix rounds per PR isn't saving money, they're burning it. And if this claim is hype, you're looking at a tool that costs more than the problem it's supposed to solve, which is a real budget conversation you'd need to have with your team. Okay, so I looked hard for a controlled test here, and I couldn't find one. The evidence is G2 reviews averaging 4.9 out of 5, but only 15 reviews total, which is a really small sample, and community sentiment is positive with users saying it compiles and runs on the first try, but that's anecdotal, not measured, so there's no benchmark or controlled head-to-head that would let me score this with confidence. The honest caveat is that positive community sentiment is real, it's just not the same as a measured result. And while users consistently report fewer fix rounds compared to alternatives, a 4.9 out of 5 on G2 doesn't come from a tool that constantly breaks, so the direction is clear even if the data isn't, and you should verify it against your own codebase before committing budget. This one's a tie. No controlled test exists, so I can't score it, and the G2 rating is encouraging, but there's no structured benchmark anywhere, which puts us at one of 2 claims confirmed with 1 unverified sitting alongside it. Claim 3. Claude Code completes reviews in about 20 minutes and is ROI positive for high-volume teams. The number itself is what matters here, $15 to $25 per PR, billed separately from your plan, so a team running 10 PRs a day is looking at up to $250 a day, roughly $5,000 a month, and whether the 20-minute claim is verified, or just marketing copy changes how you justify that spend. What surprised me is that the 20-minute average is actually verified by official Anthropic support docs, not just a marketing claim, and the cost scaling is real too. Small PRs get a lightweight pass, and 1,000-line refactors get deeper multi-agent analysis, with reviews billed separately and not counting against your plan usage, though the ROI threshold of more than 3 to 4 PRs per day is vendor-adjacent math, and the underlying developer time calculation isn't shown, so take that part with a grain of salt. The caveat is that the ROI math is vendor-adjacent. Anthropic says it's positive above 3 to 4 PRs per day, but doesn't show the developer time calculation behind that. And still, the 2 core claims, 20 minutes and cost scaling with complexity, are both verified. So for a high-volume team, the verified parts are enough to make a real case, while the ROI threshold is just the number you'd want to validate against your own team's hourly rate. This claim delivers on the parts that matter. The 20-minute figure could have been a best-case demo number, but it's in the official docs and it's the average. So 2 of 3 subclaims are verified, which puts us at 2 of 3 claims, confirmed with 1 sitting as partially true. Okay, so we've got 2 claims verified and 1 that's basically community folklore, but the next 2 are the ones that could actually flip how you think about Claude Code entirely. One is about whether you're even using the tool right, and the other is about a quality drop that had users calling it dead, and one of them has a genuinely surprising answer. Claim 4, users only use 15% of Claude Code's capabilities. If that's true, you're paying for a full tool and getting a fraction of the value, because plan mode, sub-agents, MCP integrations, hooks, and security review are all in there, and if your team isn't using them, you're leaving real automation on the table. So I looked at where the 15% figure actually comes from, and it's a community estimate, not a measured metric, with no usage data, no telemetry report, nothing published. And while the features themselves are real and documented across the official best practices and power user guides, the steep learning curve is a real pain point that shows up consistently in community reports, but the 15% number is just a vibe, not a stat. The features being real doesn't mean users are finding them, and the learning curve is genuinely steep, which is a real friction cost even if the 15% number itself is made up. So the directional call is, assume you're underusing Claude Code. Go read the Power User Guide and treat the 15% as a useful nudge rather than a verified benchmark you can cite. Partially true. The features exist and are documented. That part holds up. But the 15% figure is a community guess with no data behind it, and there's no usage telemetry or survey anywhere that backs it up, which keeps us at 2 of 4 claims fully confirmed with 2 sitting as partially true or unverified. Claim 5, Claude Code's quality has degraded since release. This one comes straight from the community. Users who loved the early version said it came out strong and then dropped off fast. And if that's still true right now, it changes whether you'd onboard a team to it today, because a tool in decline is a bad time to build a workflow around it. What I found is that the regression was real, and Anthropic actually published a post-mortem on it. 3 specific changes made on March 4th, March 26th, and April 16th caused the quality drop. The API and inference layer were unaffected, with only Claude Code, the SDK, and Cowork impacted, and Anthropic reverted the harmful changes and fixed the bugs, so that resolved as of version 2.1.116, released April 20th, all issues are listed as closed. The nuance is that the regression happened and it shook user trust, which is a real cost even if the technical fix is done. So if you walked away from Claude Code during that window and haven't checked back, you're working off stale information, and the fix is verified by Anthropic's own postmortem, meaning the current version is not the version people were complaining about. This claim falls short of the current reality. The regression was real, but it's been fixed, so the claim that quality has degraded is stale as of version 2.1.116. And that's the surprising part, because this looked like the one that would really hurt Claude Code, but instead Anthropic published a detailed postmortem and closed it out, putting the final tally at 2 of 5 claims fully confirmed, 2 partially true, 1 stale. Here's where Claude Code genuinely holds up. The multi-agent review architecture is real and documented, with a verification step that actively filters false positives before they hit your PR. The 20-minute average review time is verified by official Anthropic docs. Cost scales with PR complexity, so small PRs don't eat your budget. And internally, Anthropic's own data shows substantive PR comments jumping from 16% to 54%. Now here's where Claude Code falls short, and I'm not going to soften this. The first try success rate is community sentiment, not a measured result. The 15% feature utilization figure is a made-up number with no data behind it. The ROI math above 3 to 4 PRs per day is vendor adjacent and the underlying calculation isn't shown. And the quality regression, even though it's fixed, broke trust with early adopters in a real way. I went in thinking more claims would fall apart and the core ones held up. 2 of 5 fully verified, so it's worth it if you're a high-volume PR team that needs automated adversarial review, because the multi-agent architecture is real, 20 minutes is real, and that 16% to 54% jump in substantive comments is real money saved. But skip it if you're a solo dev on a budget, because $15 to $25 per PR adds up fast, and the ROI math doesn't work at low volume. If you want to see Claude Code go head-to-head in a live workflow, I just dropped a video called Claude Code Runs in Telegram now, and it gets into exactly how the agentic setup works in a real production context, which is a pretty different picture from a claims review like this one.